So my neighbor goes by and she takes her sweet ass time. Anyway, there are law of assumption channels that say that there is no journey. There's no truth journey. There's none of that. It's definitely a journey. Even if the I am is the only answer there is, then that's still a journey. Like, you're still going through revelations and experiences and transformations and stuff. So I'm finding a lot of people are just sort of redefining things. They're just renaming them. And, you know, that's fine. It's totally fine. I mean, in the process of, like, trying to make it your own and internalize it, that sort of thing happens. I guess I have a strong pull towards freedom. And so anything that feels like the opposite of freedom, I don't like it. I don't like it. When I was working in advertising, which I worked in for 7 years, there was a party for someone who was celebrating 20 years. And it hit me. I do not want to be doing this for 20 years. I don't want to be doing the same thing for 20 years. I want a varied life. I want variety. There's so much stuff to experience in life. Why the fuck would I spend 20 years doing the same thing day in and day out? So I made plans to leave because there's no fucking way I was going to spend 20 years in an office. So yeah, I'm geared towards variety and change and freedom. And, you know, the last 4 years have been stuck at home, repetitive. And, you know, for a time there, I needed it. I needed to feel safe. I needed to feel that I was protected, taken care of. I had gone through some turbulence and I couldn't handle anymore. I just needed some calm and I needed that break. And part of me is just like, okay, I've had my break. Now let's move on to the next stage. But at the same time, having gone through a lot of revelations in the truth, I'm like, what do I want from this world? And my neighbor's coming back. So when I was in the old mind, I don't even know what mind I'm in anymore. When I was in the old mind, it was like corporate life and, you know, buying stuff and doing things and dating people, and it was like just regular life stuff. Now I don't really participate in regular life stuff, and having shed a lot of the regular life stuff and not really having any interest in that stuff, you kind of go through a point where it's like, well, what do you do? Most of the stuff I do is kind of introspective. It's videos, but it's also, you know, my own journey is my main area of focus. And sometimes it involves going out places, and sometimes most of the time it doesn't. But to the outside world, people are like, well, what are you doing? You know, you're kind of throwing away the best years of your life type of thing. I'm like, no. I did a lot of stuff when I was living old world version of me. And like I said, like the last 4 years, I needed a break. But when you're on the other side of it, what do we want from life? And I think it's just like, just play with it. Just play with it. And it's like, it's more to do with playing with your inner self. I've tried watching several Christmas movies, and so far they've all been duds. I tried watching Office Christmas Party. It was terrible. It comes from like the Bad Horrible Bosses movie series or something like that. And it was terrible. And one thing it reminded me of, though, was me going to office Christmas parties, and I'm so relieved that I don't have to go to them anymore. I used to like them. I used to love them. I used to think how privileged I was to be invited. And, you know, there were a lot of Christmas parties when you worked in advertising. Pretty much everyone had some fancy shindig, all this booze and food and everything, and fancy dresses, and, you know, nice people. But, you know, same with the film industry. There's a lot of parties at Christmas there too. But I'm glad I'm not going to those anymore. I don't have any interest. I don't really like... I used to like dressing up. I don't like it anymore. Maybe once in a while for some special occasion that I'm really excited about, but I'm not really... Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't appeal to me anymore. So maybe if I changed my mode, my habits, it would be interesting again, but I don't... Never say never, right? I was watching this other Christmas movie this morning. It was terrible. Had a lot of really good people in it too, so I was kind of confused why these people would sign up to do this. And so I turned it off. So if you have a really good Christmas movie that you want to recommend, please, you know, new ones. I've seen a lot of old ones, something on Netflix or Prime. But like, so yesterday it was 12 degrees here and I went for a run. It was fantastic, and today's quite nice too. And while I love the mild weather, it doesn't feel very Christmassy, which is fine. Like, I think part of the reason it doesn't feel Christmassy to me is because I already had my family event. So that's what I meant when I said before, when at Christmas, because that was our Christmas event. It was in November. So yeah, I don't have that anticipation of buying gifts for people or holiday parties or any of that, which is nice. It's relaxing and calm. And I'm seeing too, like, a lot of people who are letting go of all the expectations around holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas, because it's so much work cooking all the food and getting all the gifts. And I can understand going all out when you have little kids, because it means a lot to little children. But as you get older, it's not that necessary, is it? So occasionally I used to like the gift getting, like buying gifts for people, but I don't miss it. The first few years when I stopped buying gifts for people, it was a bit of a relief. But when I talked to my friends after, and they all talked about, oh, what'd you get for Christmas? I said, well, we didn't do gifts. They were a little bit surprised, but then they talked about all of the fancy, expensive gifts that they got. Well, we were just buying stuff for the sake of buying stuff, so what's the point? There wasn't really any point at that stage. And occasionally we'll decide, okay, well, this year let's buy gifts. Just one per person. But then it ends up being, okay, well, we'll just do token gifts, and we try to do $20. Can't buy anything for $20. So we would up it, and it ended up being like up to $100 or something. So we just stopped. But it feels like September. It doesn't feel like December, which is great because I was trying to manifest a nice warm winter. Mission accomplished, I think. I find that when I start talking, it takes the focus off of my mental chatter and whatever I've been focusing on for the day, puts it onto you, whatever it is I'm talking about, which is much better. So sometimes, yeah, like I remember in the fear phase, at the beginning of my journey, when you find out about Saturnalia and all the evil meaning of Christmas, which is not true. It puts you off, and then you learn more and realize what it really is. And there's a variety of interpretations of what it is. And so I'm realizing that you make your wish, you know, the list of things that you want from Santa, the claustrum, and you sort of, you put it in a letter, or you write it down, or you script it, or you put it into the universe. And you know, whether you've been naughty or nice is basically, have you been affirming or have you not? Do you believe that you're gonna get what you want? And do you believe in Santa? Do you believe that it's going to happen if you want it? So the belief, you know, like Miracle on 34th Street. I believe, it's silly, but I believe. And then she gets the house. And so it's like, you have, yeah, so you put all your wishes in, and he comes down the chimney. So like the chimney is your, you know, your spine, your middle pillar, delivers gifts. The gifts are the messages that are dispersed throughout your body for having it manifest into your physical experience. So whatever you believe, then you perceive. That's basically, you know, your spine is your Christmas tree, right? So yeah. So after that Leave the World Behind movie, I've been seeing deer everywhere. I mean, it's to be expected for the time of year, but a specific kind of deer, like these log stick deers. These log stick deer, not particularly the nicest looking things. I gotta say, this world is really quite interesting and strange and magical, and I'm I don't know, I'd like it to get more magical. I'd like to see more magic, because, you know, you get used to some of the magic happening every day. TV talking to you, or synchronicities, or, you know, some really interesting things manifesting, and you get used to it, and then there's a few days where nothing happens, and you think, well, have I gone back to the mundane? Have I lost it? What's happening? How do I get it back? Your connection is broken. So, And it doesn't take much, like a few hours a day, and you're like, what's going on? Where's my connection? I talked to a friend of mine, and she's like, oh, no synchronicities today. I feel like I've lost my connection. I said, are you crazy? You were telling me yesterday you had 5. And she's like, oh yeah, I guess. So, but that's kind of how it feels. But you can't lose your connection. You're always connected. It just feels like it's lost, but it's like, I mean, you can lose your connection in a sense. You can and you can't. It's just you lose your awareness of it. That's basically it. We're just trying to restore our awareness of who we are. So everything that we do is basically on autopilot. It's just a result of who we are. Thank goodness, like something's taking control with the way we think and the things we focus on and the things that we do. The world would be in a kind of worse state, I think. Bit more chaotic, bit of a mess. But yeah, so thank goodness somebody's steering the ship.